Alright, so let's take a look at this one. Now, like I said, this question in particular is quite similar to the compass, right? But this one, in comparison to the one we did yesterday, is a little bit easier because this one only has the four cardinal points, which is north, east, south, and west. So here's what the game is about. The rules are as follows, right? If the target is hit, the arrow moves a quarter turn clockwise. If the target is missed, the arrow moves a quarter turn anti-clockwise, right? So for illustration purposes, I just want to show you what they're talking about. Now, the question itself is, how many quarter turns does the arrow move from west to south in a clockwise direction? So let's underline the important things, right? We need to know how many quarter turns. It has to move from west to south. And what direction? Clockwise. So what we're going to do, let's start off first of all by drawing in the arrow at the west, right? Right now, the diagram is showing it pointing to the north. So if we had to draw in the arrow, it had to point west for us to be able to start doing this problem, right? And basically, they're saying it pointing west right now, and we want it to get to south, but it has to move in a clockwise direction. So clockwise, when we say clockwise, we're talking about moving in this direction, right? It has to go this way. So we want to count how many quarter turns it's going to take us from west to south. So what does a quarter turn look like? Now, yesterday when we did the compass, we talked about the markings on the compass, right? And that one had 8 markings. But this one, although there aren't any markings, they have cardinal points. So let's count how many we have. We have north, that's 1, east is 2, south is 3, and west is 4. So if we have 4 cardinal points, there are only 4 ways in which, 4 points that it could point to, right? And this would mean that each point, right, each time the arrow turns and points at something, it could point at one out of those 4 options. So 1 out of 4, I'm just going to write it, right? 1 out of 4. What fraction is that? What's 1 out of 4? 1 over 4. Where's called a fraction?
A quarter.
A quarter. So that already tells us we're dealing with quarter turns, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we want to count now the number of quarter turns, basically we're counting when the arrow moves from one word to another. That's what we're counting, right? Now, they said clockwise direction. We established that it's going to follow the arrow, so it's going to go this way, right? It's going to go this way along the clock, well, not clock, but along the face, right? This is clockwise direction. Now, I'm at west. I have to get to south, and I have to follow the arrows in that direction around like that. So let's count together how many turns, quarter turns, we'll have to make. Now remember, like I said, the arrow, this one that we're turning with, can only point to the words. So we're not doing anything in between. So if I go from west to north, how many quarter turns is that? Yeah. If I go from west to north, that's a quarter turn, right? How many quarter turns did I make there from west to north? Didn't I just move from west to north, and that's just only 1 quarter turn? You understand what?
Yeah.
Right. So this is what I'm saying. You're going to count how many of these we're going to make, right? So this is 1 quarter turn, right? Quarter turn equal to 1. So this is just 1 quarter turn. If I go from north to east now, how many quarter turns did I make to go from north to east? How many quarter turns will it take to go from north to east? Isn't that just another quarter turn?
Yeah.
Alright. But finding a respondent to us, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Alright. Now, to get from west to east, right? This is what we're counting in the green. To get from west to east, we went through one quarter turn to get to north. How many quarter turns would we have turned when we reach by east?
A third.
No, quarter turns. We counting quarter turns, right? What I'm asking is, if I already turn one quarter turn to reach north, right? And then from north to east, I turn on the next quarter turn. How much quarter turns that is? You understand what you're counting? You know we counting this, right? We just counting how many times we turn from one point to the other. So if I went from west to north and I make one turn so far, right? That's one quarter turn. I'm asking you to go from north to east, how much turns that was? You there? It making sense to what we're doing right now, or you're confused about what you're doing? You have to tell me so I'll know what I need to clear up right now, you know. You understand that we're counting how many of these pieces we doing? From west to north, north to east, east to south. You understand that's what we're doing? Because your silence given, I don't know what's going on, you know. Alright. What's the best way I can illustrate this and make it make sense? Alright. This is a circle. Is it already? You hear me? Is it already? You leave me by. Anyway, what I was going to say is this. Normally salary is cut in 4 equal pieces, right? 4 quarters. So, west to north is 1 quarter, you eat that. North to east is the next quarter, you eat that. East to south is the next quarter, you eat that. Right? How many quarters would you have eaten by that time? Well, west to north is 1, north to east is 2, east to south is 3. How many quarters would those turns? Well, that's when you count. 1, 2, and 3. So this one more question is a little bit of hothead because you have to understand clockwise direction, you have to understand quarter turn, and you have to know how to count the quarter turns, right? So we had a total of 3 quarter turns with this one. Make sense? Or it will make it make sense in a time. Because the next part of the question, I don't know what I'm going to look like, but based on this too. So, I'll leave in here with the next 2 parts to do, right?